On my 29th birthday, the room smelled like old money and fresh betrayal. Crystal glasses clinked softly, perfume hung heavy in the air, and laughter echoed that never truly reached me. My grandfather lifted his champagne flute, his silver hair catching the chandelier light, and smiled with that quiet knowing. "How do you spend your $3.4 million trust fund, Evelyn?" The world didn't just tilt, it shattered. I blinked once, twice, my fork frozen midair. "What trust fund?" The table went deathly still. My mother's hand hovered, mid-gesture, her red silk dress suddenly looking like armor cracking at the seams. My father's throat bobbed as if he'd swallowed a jagged stone. Then Grandpa, calm as ever, leaned forward. "Where did the money go?" His question sliced through the air, exposing the rot beneath the polished facade. In that suffocating silence, under the glow of chandeliers and forced smiles, I realized this wasn't a celebration. It was an execution. My name is Evelyn Hart, and until that night, I thought I understood my family, their silences, their expectations, the way they measured love in what they withheld. I grew up in a world where success meant blending into the background. Smile politely at the table. Don't probe too deep. And never, ever discuss money openly. Now, at 29, I lived in San Francisco. Far from their marble-floored estate, in a cramped apartment in the Mission District. The walls were peeling, the pipes hissed like warnings. But it was mine-earned through late nights sketching logos as a freelance designer. Coffee going cold beside stacks of overdue bills. My parents, Alexander and Catherine, resided just 20 minutes away in Marin County. In a sprawling 4-bedroom home with a pool and a Tesla for each of them. We talked, sure, but it was surface level, how's work, followed by abrupt ends before I could share the truth. The last time they truly surprised me was at my college graduation. I'd walked the stage buried under $70,000 in student loans. Diploma clutched like a fragile shield. They hugged me stiffly, handed over a wrapped box with a murmur of "We're so proud." And inside was a hardcover book, Financial Literacy for Young Adults. I forced a smile for the photos. That night, alone over the sink, tears mixed with dishwater as I realized help was never coming. Still, I pushed forward. Paid rent on time, skipped meals when cash was tight, snatched every freelance gig that came my way. When friends flooded social media with vacation shots, I'd laugh it off internally. One day, I'd think. One day, I'd build enough to finally exhale. A week before my 29th birthday, my boss called me into his glass-walled office. His expression said it all. "I'm sorry, Evelyn. We're downsizing." I boxed my things in silence, rode the bus home numb, and collapsed on the couch beside Lauren, my roommate and steadfast anchor for the past 2 years. "Your parents will help, right?" she asked, her voice gentle. I let out a bitter, hollow laugh. "They'll probably recommend a budgeting app." That night, I called anyway, desperation clawing at me. "Mom, I lost my job." "Oh, that's too bad, honey," Catherine replied, her keyboard clicking in the background like she was already moving on. "But you'll figure it out. You always do." "I'm behind on rent, Mom. I don't know how." "Well, maybe this will teach you to save better. Anyway, we're making reservations for your birthday dinner. Lucille at 7:30. Don't be late." "Mom, that place is $300 a plate." She laughed lightly. "Don't be cheap, Evelyn. It's your birthday. Dress nicely." The line went dead before I could respond. I stared at my reflection in the dark TV screen-tired eyes, split ends, fading lipstick. $300 a plate, I whispered. "That's half my grocery budget." Lauren glanced up from her book. "You don't have to go. I do. In my family, skipping dinner is worse than heresy." So I circled the date on the calendar, marking it like the eve of a trial. The week crawled forward like a leaking faucet, each drip amplifying my dread. I tried to stay productive, sending resumes, polishing my portfolio, but rejection emails stacked up like accusations. My savings dipped below 4 digits. Every hallway noise made me jump, bracing for the landlord's knock. By Friday, sleep evaded me entirely. Lauren found me at 2 a.m., still hunched over my laptop in the dim glow. "Eve, go to bed," she said softly, concern etching her face. "I can't. If I stop, I'll think about it." "About what?" "That dinner. Them acting like everything's perfect while I'm crumbling." She squeezed my shoulder, her touch a rare warmth. "Then make it the last time they treat you like that." I didn't fully grasp her words yet, but they lodged deep, a seed of resolve. Saturday dawned bright and unforgiving. I stood before my closet, eyeing the limited choices: faded jeans, a blazer missing a button, and a black dress from 3 years ago, bought for a job interview that never panned out. I chose the dress. It fit, mostly. On the bus to the restaurant, I watched the city blur by, tourists laughing, couples intertwined, a child savoring ice cream that melted down his arm. Their simplicity stung. Reminder of lives unburdened by hidden weights. Lucille shimmered with glass and gold accents. The air thick with the scent of truffles and entitlement. My parents were already seated, Catherine in her red silk dress that screamed quiet luxury, Alexander in his tailored navy suit. The table was a display of wine glasses and unfamiliar silverware. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," Catherine said, air kissing my cheek, her perfume assaulting my senses. Alexander smiled faintly. "You look tired." "Rough week." "Lost my job," I said quietly, testing the waters. He nodded dismissively. "That happens. You'll bounce back." They dove into their own stories, their Europe trip, the new Tesla's autopilot, a guest bathroom renovation, my words dissolving into the chatter. I glanced at the door repeatedly, counting down. I was supposed to feel celebrated, but I felt like a decorative piece in their curated life. Then the door swung open. A murmur rippled through the room as my grandfather, Richard Hart, entered, tall, silver-haired, each step deliberate. The Matardi nearly stumbled, escorting him. Catherine's smile faltered. "Dad, what are you doing here?" she asked, voice pitched too high. "Celebrating my granddaughter, of course." His eyes met mine, warm and steady. "Happy birthday, Evelyn." He hugged Muriel, solid grounding, and for the first time that night, I breathed deeply. "I didn't know you were coming," I murmured. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." He settled beside me, ordered whiskey, neat, and eased into conversation. But there was an undercurrent in his tone, like he carried a secret we all sensed but couldn't name. The whiskey gleamed as Richard raised his glass. "So, Evelyn," he said casually, "how do you spend your $3.4 million trust fund?" The air fractured. My heartbeat thundered in my ears before the silence hit. I blinked, stunned. "What trust fund?" Forks halted mid-air. Catherine's smile shattered like fine china. Alexander's throat worked visibly, swallowing hard. Richard's face remained impassive. He leaned back. "The one I set up when you were born. Your parents were supposed to transfer it when you turned 25. Catherine laughed sharply, too quick. "Oh, Dad, you must be mistaken." "Don't," he said quietly, his voice a blade. She froze. He signaled the waiter. "Private room, please." We were ushered away swiftly, half-eaten plates abandoned, champagne fizzing forgotten. The door clicked shut behind us, sealing in the chill. Richard's assistant, Claire, waited inside, tablet ready. Beside her stood Daniel Reed, his attorney, in a sharp suit. "This won't take long," Richard said. "I just want clarity." Daniel opened a folder, sliding papers across. Miss Hart, this is the trust in your name. Initial deposit, $1 million. Current value with growth, approximately $3.4 million. My fingers trembled above the document. Should be, Daniel nodded grimly. As of this morning, the balance is $200,000. The number struck like a fist. $200,000. Decades of savings, investments, interest vanished. Richard's gaze pinned my parents. Explain? Alexander wiped sweat from his brow. We used some to cover the mortgage during the crash. Some. Richard echoed, voice steady but lethal. That's over $3 million, Alexander. Catherine's hands shook on her clutch. We were managing it for her future. We didn't want her to squander it. I laughed, short, bitter, raw. You mean like squandering it on rent? Student loans, food. Catherine turned to me, eyes glistening. Sweetheart, we only wanted what's best. You gave me a book on financial literacy for graduation. My voice cracked while draining my account. Richard raised a hand. Silence fell like a curtain. Enough. To Claire. List the withdrawals. Her voice was robotic. Mortgage payoff, $450,000. Vehicle purchases, 2. Tesla Model S, $280,000. Home renovation, $320,000. Investment in Catherine Hart Real Estate, $500,000. Each tally landed heavier. Then she paused. Purchase of property in Malibu, $1.8 million. Currently under Alexander and Catherine Hart. I stared at them. A beach house? Alexander's face slackened. It was an investment. It was theft, Richard said softly. From your own daughter. The room echoed with the air vents hum. No one breathed. Richard pushed back his chair. Give me the keys. Catherine's eyes flicked to her purse. She hesitated, then extracted a keyring to keys and a fob, her hand trembling as she placed them down. Richard slid them to me. These are yours. 2 years late. They were warm from her grip. My keys, my life, stolen and returned. Catherine's sobs started, soft and rehearsed. Please, Dad, don't. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family, he replied. You'll hear from my lawyers tomorrow. They exited slowly, weighed down. The door closed, air lightening but hollowing. Richard turned to me. Evelyn, I'll audit everything. They'll face consequences. But pressing charge is your call. I clutched the keys, metal biting skin. Years of begging for approval, now proof their love was transactional. I need time, I whispered. Take it, he said. But know this, they were planning to run. Claire revealed tickets to Costa Rica, bought 3 days ago. My chest constricted. They came knowing this was farewell, smiling through the lie. That night, I left with keys in pocket, storm raging inside. Outside, city lights smeared in fog. Lauren waited up. Hearing it all, she whispered, they stole from you. Not just money, I said. Years. Gazing at the sleeping city, something fractured and something ignited. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to take everything back quietly. 3 days later. I stepped out of the elevator on the top floor of Richard's glass tower downtown. The city sprawled beneath us like a circuit board of light and ambition. But inside the office, the air was colder than the fog outside. Claire met me in the lobby, immaculate as always, tablet glowing in her hand. They're already here, she said quietly. Richard wanted you present. My stomach twisted. Both of them. Alexander and Catherine had come to negotiate. As if betrayal could be bartered down like a used car. The doors opened onto cedar-scented silence. Richard sat behind his desk like a king who had already won the war. Across from him, my parents looked smaller than I'd ever seen them. Alexander's shoulders sagged inside a suit that suddenly seemed too big. Catherine's lipstick had cracked at the corners. The gloss she used to armor herself was flaking away. When I walked in, no one spoke. The antique clock on the wall ticked like a heartbeat counting down. Richard's voice finally broke the hush. "Sit, Evelyn." I took the chair opposite them. The same blood ran through our veins, yet the space between us felt wider than the bay outside the window. Alexander cleared his throat first. "We never meant for it to go this far. We got desperate." "Desperate," Richard repeated, tasting the word like poison. "I built an empire recognizing greed, Alexander. Don't insult me with desperation." Catherine leaned forward, tears already pooling. "We love her, Dad. We were going to tell her after we sold the Malibu house. After you disappeared to Costa Rica with what was left of her future." Richard cut in. "The room temperature seemed to drop another 5 degrees, Daniel." Reed stepped forward and set a thick stack of bank statements on the desk. "Forensic audit complete. Every transaction traced. We've recovered approximately $2 million through asset seizures and forced sales." Alexander rubbed his temples. $2 million. You didn't recover it," Daniel said sharply. "The law did." Claire handed me a slim folder. Inside were photographs. The Malibu beachfront at sunset. 2 gleaming Teslas in the driveway. Catherine dripping in diamonds on a cruise deck. All paid for with money that had my name on it. "You should see what they valued more than you," Claire whispered. So softly only I heard. I swallowed the metallic taste in my mouth. "This is enough for felony charges, isn't it?" "Yes," Daniel answered. "Financial fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. Up to 10 years each." Catherine gasped, a sound like porcelain breaking. "Evelyn, you wouldn't. Please." Her voice cracked into something small and childlike, but it didn't move me anymore. "I didn't do this," I said, steady for the first time in years. "You did." Alexander leaned forward, desperation bleeding through the last of his composure. "Prison, Evelyn. We're your parents." "Parents protect," I answered. "They don't pillage." Richard turned to me, eyes gentle but unyielding. "It's your choice, sweetheart." The room, blurred skyline, papers, trembling hands. I thought of every birthday where I smiled through silence. Every night I ate instant noodles so I could make rent. Every time I told myself their coldness was love in a different shape. I met Catherine's pleading gaze. "You left me with nothing," I said, the words falling like stones into still water. "Now you have exactly that." Catherine's shoulders collapsed inward. Alexander looked away, jaw clenched so tight I thought it might shatter. Richard gave Daniel a single nod. "File the motions." Catherine reached across the table, fingers clawing for mercy that wasn't there. "Dad, please. She's your granddaughter." "And you are my daughter," Richard replied, voice carved from granite. "There's a difference between blood and character." Her sob was real this time, muggly, raw, stripped of performance. Security appeared as if summoned by the sound itself. They escorted my parents out. The door closed with the soft finality of a coffin lid. Richard stood slowly and walked to me. He placed a steady hand on my shoulder. "You did the right thing." "I don't feel good," I admitted, voice small. "Justice rarely feels good," he said. "But it's necessary." He pressed a slim envelope into my hand. "Pacific Heights, penthouse. Fully under your name now. Keys, deeds, accounts, everything transferred back. Effective immediately." Catherine's parting whisper floated back through the closing door. "You'll regret this." I looked out at the city stretching endless below us. "No," I said to the glass, to her ghost, to the girl I used to be. "For once, I won't." That night, I unlocked the door to the apartment I'd never been allowed to enter. The doorman greeted me by name. Richard had prepared everyone. The scent of cedar and expensive candles greeted me first. Marble counters, neutral tones, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the bay like a painting I now owned. I walked through rooms paid for by my stolen years, fingertips brushing walls that should have been mine at 25. On the counter lay a lease. Folder tenants my parents had collected rent from for years. I laughed until the sound cracked and turned into tears. Not grief. Release. Lauren arrived 20 minutes later with takeout and wide eyes. "You're really here," she breathed. "I'm home," I said. And the word tasted like freedom. We ate cross-legged on the hardwood floor, curtains spread like we were still broke 20-somethings. Through the windows, San Francisco glittered live, indifferent, mine to claim. The keys gleamed on the counter behind us, no longer warm from Catherine's guilty palm, but cool and certain in my own. A month later, the investigation wrapped cleanly. Both Teslas sold. Malibu house liquidated. Country club membership dissolved. Proceeds poured back into accounts that finally, truly carried only my name. My parents moved into a roadside motel in Oakland. Court-ordered restitution. $500 a month for the rest of their lives. Richard told me in a quiet voice over coffee. I nodded. No triumph. Just balanced up mornings now. I sit on the balcony with coffee and my laptop. Fog rolls in like breath across the water. Clients come, easily startups, galleries, referrals from Richard's network that no longer feel like charity. I pick the projects that light me up. I set my own rates. Lauren crashes most weekends. We hang art, drink wine, leave footprints in a life that belongs entirely to us. One evening, Richard invited me to dinner. He looked frailer, but his eyes were lighter, as if shedding decades of disappointment. "You did what I never could," he said, raising his glass. "You drew the line." I smiled, throat tight. "You taught me where to draw it." Driving home that night, I passed Lucille. Through the windows, strangers toasted birthdays, oblivious to how quickly a family can fracture over greed. I didn't slow down. Some doors stay closed for a reason. Here's what I know now, at 29. Standing on a balcony, I earned twice. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. Love can wear a mask of indifference. And sometimes the people who are supposed to lift you will spend years making sure you stay small so they can stay comfortable. But small can be a seed, and seeds, when they finally break open, grow through concrete. If you've ever smiled through silence while someone you trusted carved pieces out of you, hear this: you are allowed to take it all back. Quietly, legally, completely. You are allowed to become the storm instead of begging it to pass. And if a story like mine ever kept you up at night, wondering if you're the only one, you're not. Stay with me. The next one might feel a little too familiar. And the one after that might be the proof. You need to finally close the door. Turn on notifications. Some chapters are meant to end so the real story can begin.